Just let me know when, Brian.
Just check and make sure
Sure.
it's up. Yep, we're good.
Good morning, everyone. It is 9:06. I would like to call the TRC meeting, Technical Review Committee of the Town of South Kingstown, to order. We have Dennis Bernier present, Mark Convoy, Rich Bourbonnais, Jamie Gorman, Susan Axelrod representing the Planning Board. I am Jamie Rabbit, the Administrative Officer and Planning Director for South Kingstown. We also have Brian Wagner, Deputy Director of the Planning Department, in attendance also. Our next agenda item is B, approval of minutes, February 11, 2026. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mark. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the February 11th meeting minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion of all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Susan? Motion carries. Our next agenda item is item C, TRC review, which is Lombardi Coastal Community Overlay District review, request to extend a new deck/shower area to 7 feet by 4.5 feet instead of the 5 by 4.5 feet on the existing cottage located at 240 Cards Pond Road, 14E6 AP 92-1, lots 01-15. John Stamansky, applicant. Samansky. And present? Yeah, John, if you just want to go over what you're proposing to do. And Mike, bottom right hand.
Should be on, right? Perfect.
Hello, my name is John Samansky. I'm the contractor for Pamela Body. During construction of the stuff that you guys already approved, the deck and the shed and the shower, bathroom area, we were able to push the beam towards the south a little bit extra to accommodate for stairs, the building the stairs and flaring it into the old deck. We have enough beam to support an extra 2 feet of deck space. So we were hoping to come to you guys for a variance to extend that deck an extra 2 feet.
Thank you. Dennis?
No concerns at this time?
Mark?
I have no concerns at this time.
Rich?
I have no concerns either.
Mr. Gorman?
Yeah, I know you initially came to the office and this was a minor change to what was approved. However, we wouldn't be able to administratively approve that, so certainly this is 9 square feet. It's within the allowable limits for any expansion in deck area, so this seems minor change, so no issues from my office.
Susan? And from my perspective, as the AO, again, originally approved, we just have to go through the process of coming back to TRC again. I see no substantial changes or impact. Is there any additional comments? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll second that.
Susan? There's a motion, a second, to approve the revisions to the prior approved changes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Our next agenda item is D, TRC Advisory Review. Item number 1 is 2001 Kingstown Road. We did receive correspondence from the applicant on that, and they have asked it to be tabled to the next TRC meeting to allow them additional time to address the concerns of the Technical Review Committee, as discussed at our last meeting. Under D2, preliminary plan review, multi-household land development, Green Street Manor, proposed demolition and construction of a 4-unit residential structure with associated parking, utilities, and storm drainage, AP 49-1, lot 148, located at 12 Green Street, Johnny Cake Center for Hope, applicant owner. And, sorry, you were completely hidden behind the podium. So, all right, give us an update.
Good morning, Molly Titus from Dupree Engineering on behalf of the Johnny Cake Center. We're here today for TRC for preliminary plan. Since our last meeting, which was, I don't even know, a year ago, maybe, the existing building has been demolished. The existing parking lot remains on the site, and now we're proceeding with permitting to construct the new structure. The preliminary plan submission, I believe, is in keeping with all conditions of the master plan approval. We've coordinated water, the sewer connection, stormwater drainage is in keeping with the state standards. We've proposed pervious pavement. We've utilized the reduction in parking for the CD district, so we have 1 space per unit plus 1 extra in an ADA stall. I don't know if there's any questions for me. We did meet the landscaping standards, the open space standards. We're not seeking relief.
Okay, we'll go around. Dennis?
No concerns, just waiting for plans for review.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Mark?
Just a couple of things on that. The original plan from master plan, on the drainage system, you had some sort of, it was just sketched out at the back of the building, an underground system.
Correct.
And so now you're changing that to pervious pavement, and it looks like the roof drains are going to be draining underneath
Yes.
the
Yep,
parking
we'll have
area
a
as well.
crushed stone beneath the surface to
Okay.
accommodate both volumes.
Okay, so what I'm looking for, I didn't see any sort of drainage calculations to go with that. Was there some that were included, or?
Yes, I will. Yeah, well, there was a full report and an O&M
Okay.
provided.
And the other thing I was looking for was on maintenance of that parking area. We don't want someone to, a couple of years later, blacktop that pervious pavement. So I'm looking for some sort of a maintenance, something to be spelled out on it so that the people who build it or operate it know how to maintain the pervious pavement so that it remains pervious.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, as part of there was the stormwater report and an operation and maintenance plan, and then, yeah, I'm assuming as part of the decision, it can be put in that it can't be replaced with regular asphalt.
Okay, and the last thing that I had was, in looking at the plan, I couldn't tell if there was any basement being proposed with
No.
that. Okay, so that's gonna be a slab.
Probably, stem walls, crawl space, framed floor. I don't think it'll have a concrete floor.
Okay, so that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Rich?
I've got nothing else to add on that.
Mr. Gorman?
Just one question, is this, so 4 units, is it a sprinkler building, or is this going to be a townhouse-style type building?
Townhouse style.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Susan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So on the plans, it shows a concrete pad. Can you tell me about that?
In the rear of the existing building,
Yes.
I think it was a playset way back.
Okay, so I went and took a walk yesterday,
Yep.
and it has a couple of manholes in the top of it, which makes me think there's some kind of storage or an old septic tank or something else going on beneath it. Like there are 2 metal, it's sort of mossy and leafy, but it's hard to see, but there are 2 metal manhole covers in the top of that concrete pad.
Yeah, that area will be removed. I mean, as part of, digging the footings, whatever's back there would be removed. It's connected to sewer now, so if there would be an old septic sealed or, like you're saying, suggesting maybe a tank, then that would be removed.
I don't think that building originally had bathrooms in the buildings, so it may
Okay.
have been some sort of exterior accommodations, restroom accommodations.
Huh. Like an old outhouse? So is there something that needs to be indicated about what it is and what's going to happen to that space? And I'm assuming it's not like, underground storage tanks, but like there's
No.
just the manholes. Yeah.
We can put some notes on the plans to confirm, but unless it was some sort of storage tank, which I don't believe it to be, there would be no closure or anything required in terms
Okay.
of state regulations.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to ask about the fence, which seems to go around the entirety of the property, and especially along the back property line where it's being bumped back, 15 feet, and it seems to be basically leaning up against the structure that's to the rear of the property. And I'm wondering about was there a shift in property lines at some point, or was it just sort of a little encroachment on your space? And then it looks like, is there a stockade fence running along the entire back property and actually basically leaning on that structure behind the house?
So the neighbor to the rear is encroaching onto this property now. Johnny Cake Center and them have been in discussion. The intent is to move it to our property line, but I know that they are still working through that detail as to what happens with the fence. So the fence, I guess, possibly could ultimately still sit within our property entirely and not on the property line as they go through that.
Okay. Is there a specific reason for the entire property to be surrounded by fence? It sort of sits like a little isolated bowl in there, and I wonder if the fence is being put back because there is a fence, they're just replacing it, or if there's actually a reason, like could that fence be eliminated altogether and just a landscape buffer put around? The whole property is surrounded by fence, and was that deliberate, or could that be revisited with some sort of landscape buffer that doesn't seem so isolating this house from the entire neighborhood?
I don't think I can speak for the owner on that. I know the intent was to replace the fence. I know the fence that's existing is in pretty poor condition, so I think they intended to keep it to protect the property and the future residents, but I'm sure they'd be open to discussion if there was something else intended. I also know, I think the one on the north is part of the buffer. We are actually in a CD district with multifamily versus single family to our north. So there was landscape buffer required.
Okay, because where you have the fence now, it also looks like you might be clear cutting the entire property. There's a row of arborvitae, how to even explain it. On the back fence line, where you're moving that fence up against that other property, there's presently a row of arborvitae that looks like it's coming out, and there'll just be this stockade fence there instead. You've got a couple of mature trees. Some don't look very healthy, but you do have a bunch of mature trees back there, and I wonder, does this look like everything's being taken off of the property, including that back corner, the top northwest corner, all the trees are being taken out?
Yeah, we've proposed new landscaping along that entire edge. Sheet 9 has all the new plants that are
Right.
proposed.
So all of those, the mature maples will be coming down.
Yes.
Would your client consider retaining some of those mature canopy trees instead of just... I see your landscape plan is lovely, and you've got some pretty things, but 1.5-inch caliper, 6-foot-high trees will take an awful long time to become that shady canopy that maple's providing in the backyard.
Yeah, I mean,
I suspect that might be some members of the planning board who will also inquire about clear-cutting the property and replacing all the trees, or whichever ones are healthy enough to be saved.
yeah, we can certainly review the viability of keeping some of them. It would
Right.
certainly be advantageous to the owner to not replace them all.
Or potentially, in my preference, and it's not my property, but not even replacing that west fence that's right up against that property, and including removing a bunch of trees to have to put it in. Like, this property is pretty isolated from the neighborhood by putting that big old stockade fence around it, which is unfortunate. And the last question I have is for the width of the driveway and whether or not it needs to be a 2-lane opening to that driveway to make it work, or if that could be narrowed down with some additional landscaping out front of the property.
We've got the standard 24-foot minimum that zoning requires. If, the town would like us to seek a reduction, we could go down to 20. I know we're not going to go any less than that. So,
For fire? Yes, that's fine. Okay.
Well, so public services is, for residential, normally it's, I don't know, this is kind of different though, but normally we're 10 or 20 in that range, so if you could reduce it to 20, and if it's okay with fire, then why don't we do that, and then at least it conforms to what our general residential requirements are.
And just out of curiosity, with the house so close to the front street, you would still need fire access to the parking lot itself, even though the house is sitting up on the street?
That is correct, because it is frontage, but we also will be able to stick and/or run operations in the parking lot itself, because that is a narrow road, so we may have to stage apparatus in there. You also have to be able to access 3 sides of this building. So we have the front, we'll have what we call the Charlie side will be a little restricted, but will give us the Alpha Charlie Delta side, my apologies, will be the side that we'll be able to reach. That's why we need it. Thank you.
Anything else, Susan? No. All right.
Can I add a couple, just one
Sure,
other
go
thing?
ahead.
So, and also with regard to the entrance, if it's, when we say 20, we don't mean if there's a tank or anything like that, or if they discover anything like that, if there can be a notation that just says that engineering is to be notified, so we can witness the collapse of the tank, or if it's removed or something of that sort. So, and then we'll just get it on the record that anything on that site was removed. Normally, we like to inspect those types of things.
Thank you, Rich. Molly, just a couple of items. Again, Susan mentioned the width of the driveway. You have 6 parking spaces. This is a 4-unit structure. the width is the same that you would put in for CVS or Belmont Market or Shaw's. So I think there's an opportunity to reduce that. Also, your 24-foot drive aisle puts you a few feet away from the building. I think you may be able to reduce that to 20. Potentially even 18 for the entrance with load-bearing shoulders, which I know Mr. Bernier has been okay with on that. And again, it could be pavement, and it could be grass paved too, or it could even be granite Belgium, just so there's that radius there. But it gives it more of a residential feel versus that hard commercial appearance. You're proposing a residential building. I know you're trying to accommodate parking, but doing a residential building and then putting someone's living space 2 feet away, 3 feet away from a drive aisle is not the best design in the world. And I realize you have puzzle pieces and you have to put the puzzle pieces together. But we've challenged the applicant to look at building footprints and making this potentially work a little bit better, even though, the building doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle. There's opportunities for variation in that size, which allows you more flexibility with the puzzle pieces. But if they're stuck on a rectangular building, it's a disservice to the residents and even firefighting. You need to roll a truck in there to a structure that could be on fire, and you're going to be 2 feet away from it. If it was building the building, we would require 20 plus feet of separating distances. So it's just looking at those puzzle pieces. Can that building be a rectangle versus a square, which gives you more ability? I think at least going from 24 feet to 20 and still making sure the turning radiuses for those spaces work allows you to get an additional 4 feet, which may make that 6 to 7 feet away from the building. May make it a little bit better, but there's still opportunity to even improve upon that. I agree with some of the other comments, and basically I have, we'll say 7 right now.
I just had something else too.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through the 7 right now, and then we can potentially add to that. Item number 1, and I'll explain this too, was Mr. Conboy's comment about the roof leaders going into your underground storage for the parking lot. I think if I looked at the parking lot pervious pavement detail, that's a standard detail for pervious pavement. I'm not 100% clear. It's been modified to take the additional flows from the roof. The second aspect, in my experience, the rainwater's clean, but if you have a gutter system that's got debris in it, leaves in it, and that'll end up in your stone. So there needs to be, in my opinion, a secondary treatment opportunity where solids are dropped out of that drainage system before clean water enters your stone. Otherwise, you're going to lose material from the roof shingles, which potentially could plug your system. So whether it's a roof leader to a small catch basin structure, even if it's residential in nature, that has a deep sump, that sump can be cleaned and clean water goes into the stone system. And again, verifying that you've accommodated additional depth, we'll say, in that stone matrix to accommodate the roof leaders. That's item number 1. Item number 2 was clarifying if there's any removal of existing underground systems and whether or not there would be any need for remediation of the removal of those underground systems. I think Susan brought that up, as well as Rich Bourbonnais. Item number 3 was the replacement of the fence on the site and resolving any encroachment issues, understanding the Johnny Cake Center is working on that at this time. Item number 4, and I'll combine, I said I had 7, but we'll combine 4 and 4, is the fence and the potential requirement of removing mature trees on the property. That's probably most concerning on the western edge. If you can verify fence location, fence type, and what trees are staying and what trees are proposed to be removed. The next item would be modifying the width of the driveway to either 18 with 2-foot load-bearing shoulders or 20, and then also removing the width of the drive aisle from 24 to 20 feet. Item 7 is evaluating the separation distances between the turning movement and driveway and parking area and its proximity to the building as it's associated with those turning movements, as well as public safety for EMS and firefighting services. And then Mr. Bourbonnais or Jamie?
I just had one more thing. So I was looking at, the site plans reference that no dimensional relief is necessary, but there is a provision for a multi-household in the CD district that prohibits dwelling units on the first floor. So I'm assuming, so if, variance from that would be in order, because I'm sure there's no business use on the first floor, correct? Yeah.
So I think that gets me back to 7, if we combine comments 4 and 5. So. Does anyone have anything else or comments that we've summarized the potential issues to be addressed as this project moves forward? So we really have 2 options. One, we could require the applicant to come back. Second, I think on the variance side, it potentially would just be unified development review with the planning board, not zoning board, then the planning board, so we can handle that. I think the 7 items can be adequately addressed with good engineering and better design, and maybe some flexibility on your client side about building footprint to give you more flexibility on a very tight site.
I'll make that motion to approve conditional on the applicant satisfying those 7 conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Susan. And just clarity on the motion, it would be to approve this moving through the process with the understanding that the 7 items will be addressed.
Correct, to the planning board.
Yes.
That's correct.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you. Good to see you all.
And then our next agenda item is our favorite one, E, adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mark. Seconded by Mr. Bourbonnais. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. 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 Thank you, everyone.